Mr. Speaker, thank you. I am grateful for the opportunity to present my contribution to Budget 2022 in this House. But before I present my contribution, allow me a few minutes to address the previous speaker. Mr. Speaker, the honorable member who spoke before me, the Photoshop lady, Madam Minister Sonia Parag, when you spoke about corruption, you omitted to tell the nation in your address about corruption prior to 2015. But let me remind the nation, because that's what we are here for. People's memory are not so short as yours. The APNU-AFC, when we got into government in May of 2015, we conducted over 53 forensic audits. Y'all remember that? Over 53 forensic audits on corruption. It was evident. So much so, sir, that a lot of things came out of those audits. But let me say to you that the audits were not done by APNU-AFC members. The audits were done by qualified professional accountants, including Christopher Ram and Anand Gulsaran, among others. Sir, massive corruption was identified from the audits. These audits were sent to the police for further investigation. We shall not forget, sir, that the DPP recommended charges for the PPP ministers. That's right. Can you remember that the former housing minister was charged with 19 fraud charges? And the former finance minister, who fled this country when he was charged, he fled this country and went to Dubai. Sir, when these people stand to talk about transparency and corruption, they should remind themselves. They should remind themselves of what they did.
I stand on order 40B, an elucidation. That is actually an inaccuracy that the honorable member said, and I think it's important that we have a clarification or a withdrawal from her.
Honorable Minister, 1 minute, please. Honorable members, there is currently someone standing on a point of order. I'd like to hear what the Honorable Minister, what order she's standing on.
40B, to elucidate.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Ms. Lewis, you would have to substantiate what you have with facts.
Sorry, it's in the media, sir. It's in every newspaper in 2015 and 2016. Sir, I will get the records.
Honorable Member, I think it is convention and it is in line with the standing orders that when the Speaker is speaking, that he is given the opportunity and he has the floor. I will say again that in order for you to continue along that line, you would have to substantiate those with facts. If not, I will have to ask you to withdraw them. That for you to continue along that line, it requests or it requires that you substantiate those. If not, you have to withdraw them.
Sir, I don't understand what you're saying. That police charged them prior to what happened on those audits, sir. Sir, that same DPP was instructed to withdraw those charges. But, sir, we will move on, sir. Sir, we know who was charged with 19 fraud charges. We know who left the jurisdiction when they were charged. We know who went to Dubai for a frolicking time. And we know who returned when to do what they're doing now. The point here, sir, when they stand to speak about corruption, they must not think that people got short memory, because the records are there, sir. As Mia Motley says, the truth hurts.
Honorable member and members for the House's consumption. During the exchange, the technical person approached me and said that there will be an interruption with the feed. So if you wanted to, we could pause for, I think he had said 5 minutes, we'd give him 3 minutes, and then you would continue. If not, the feed will not be able to be broadcasted.
Okay, sir, I'll pause, but I want to make the point that I was interrupted twice by you, and I'd like to have my time back in addition to this time.
Madam.
Thank you, sir.
Honorable member, you have been interrupted at 16:20:57. You will be given the time until the technical people have indicated that they have the live feedback. The other points upon which you were interrupted were in line with the standing orders, and those carry through.
If you say so.
Everything's good?
Yes,
Honorable member, my apologies once again to the House and to the people viewing, and to you, Madam Speaker. I was just informed that we are back on live. You may continue.
Sir, you want to tell me that whole entire thing about highlighting this corruption was not broadcast on NCN? Is that what you're saying to me? Sir, would you like me to begin my speech? Sir, can I continue now? Mr. Speaker, it is a privilege and honor as I make my third contribution in 18 months in this honorable House. Sir, after 18 months, a lot more than $919 billion, Guyanese are poorer and very pessimistic about the future of their lives and that of their children and grandchildren. Sir, this budget was presented under the theme, steadfast against all challenges, resolute in building our one Guyana. And for the purpose of methodology, I will dissect the theme before dealing with my portfolio. Resolute in building one Guyana is a mockery to the Guyanese given their current untenable living situation, where the basic of their necessities are not met. This budget fails to deliver to the struggling people, the poor and vulnerable people, services that can maintain any level of decency as citizens of this nation. Mr. Speaker, let's look at some of the challenges Dr. Ashley Singh talked about and the more popular challenges that face the poor people of Guyana, especially over the last 18 months. Sir, let's look at the challenges. Discrimination, corruption, unprecedented loss of life as a result of the mismanagement of the COVID pandemic. Racism, another pandemic in Guyana, sir. Increased cases of crime, especially against women and children. Injustice. And here I pause to remember Orrin Boston from Essequibo. Sir, he was brutally murdered at the hands of police officer in the presence of his wife and his 2 children, aged 6 and 7, who were in the same house. They are left to fend for themselves with no support from the state. Sir, from September last year to now, nothing, absolutely nothing was given to the family. Sir, are they doing this because they care for the people of Guyana? Those 2 children are school-aged children. They have to eat, they have to travel to school. Sir, not a dollar from the state for that mother. The PPP is a set of heartless people. Sir, while I expound on the challenges of the poor and struggling people of this country, I bring to the fore the injustice meted out to our people. Injustice, sir, as a challenge. Sir, I pause here to remember Joel and Isaiah Henry, the 2 teenagers who were murdered since September 2020. Sir, the death of these 2 young boys, their blood is on the hands of the PPP. No justice for the Henry boys, sir. And Mr. Speaker, that is the record I want to recall. Joe Hamilton, honorable member, talk about the PPP records. Sir, this is the record of the PPP. No justice for the people of Guyana. Sir, do you think that the world knows, or even Guyanese know, that out of the $329.5 billion budgeted in 2020 and the $383.1 billion budgeted in 2021, that there was no, absolutely no psychosocial support provided for the Henry family? Sir, the mother of one of the boys, Joel's mother, Gail, is very ill because of what has happened to her child, because of the trauma she suffered during and after that period. And sir, nothing was given to that mother. Sir, I repeat, no psychosocial support was provided for either of the Henry families. Tell me that I am wrong, Prime Minister. Tell me that I'm wrong, Prime Minister. Sir, this is a reflection of how the installed PPP cares for the people of Guyana. This is their record of caring. This is the One Guyana vision, where they discriminate based on the makeup of the family and where their support lies. Sir, I'm convinced that they care only for one set of people, hence they speak of One Guyana. Mr. Speaker, we are heading down a road where there is a dark cloud that is hanging over Guyana. Sir, treachery and thievery lines the pathway of that road. Mr. Speaker, as I continue to examine the theme of this budget, I went on to talk about the challenges, resolute in building one Guyana. And so, Mr. Speaker, you would have allowed, the House would have allowed Dr. Singh to present to this Honorable House information that is misleading to this nation. Sir, let me remind you one misleading statement, and I quote, "The governance architecture of this government is based firmly on inclusivity, participation, transparency, and accountability, and the rule of law. It is grounded in the concept of policy trust of a one Guyana," end of quote. Sir, I don't know what to say about people who come to the House knowingly telling us untruths. Mr. Speaker, he went on to say that the consultations on the new and expanded LCDS 2030 and the establishment of One Guyana Commission are the two critical pillars of the emerging new Guyana, and the 2022 budget anticipates the establishment of the One Guyana Commission. So you understand what I mean? In 2020, they talk about the One Guyana Commission. In 2021, they talk about the One Guyana Commission. In February, all they said about the One Guyana Commission is that Prime Minister Mark Phillips will head that commission. So absolutely nothing else was said or done about that commission. How in God's name a budget is visioned on One Guyana when absolutely nothing was done to it, sir? I don't know who in God's name they think they're talking to. Mr. Speaker, something is fishy here. Sir, the last part of that statement where they said that Budget 2022 anticipates the establishment of the One Guyana Commission in 2022 is damning. Let me repeat it. They will establish the One Guyana Commission in 2022. Sir, what have we approved money for in this House in 2020 and 2021 if this budget in 2022 will establish the One Guyana Commission? Mr. Speaker, I believe that the concept of One Guyana Commission and its establishment is another failed promise, or perhaps, sir, another Photoshop promise like the 50% public servants increase. Mr. Speaker, this thing is serious business. If they are now in 2022 promising to establish a One Guyana Commission after 18 months in government, can we logically deduce that this means we approve two budgets in this House without a vision for this country, much less an articulated, approved strategy for the development of this country? Mr. Speaker, what have we done? Sir, in 2021 budget speech, I said that Dr. Singh's first budget is visionless. And 14 months after, we have the evidence, no vision for Guyana. And this, my friend, is why poor people are punishing. The PPP is visionless. Sir, if they are struggling to conceptualize what One Guyana means and a vision for this nation, perhaps, sir, Small C. Charles should lend Fatboy a copy of the Strategic Plan for Social Cohesion in Guyana. He has it, but he is too arrogant to read it, much less share it. Sir, more than that, more than a plan for One Guyana, the APNU AFC coalition has the expertise on this side of the House to develop a strategy for One Guyana, sir. Sir, when we took office in May 2015, by April 2017, we had a cabinet-approved strategy informed by consultation across this nation. We did it, sir. We have the expertise, but they are too arrogant to stretch across to ask us for help. We can help them with that, sir. Mr. Speaker, let me move on. This One Guyana thing is a farce, driven by a whole circus, even the trench crapper in the circus. Mr. Speaker, this whole country in pocketry. Mr. Speaker, can you remember in this same House, a few months ago, a budget was delivered under the theme, Plan Our plan for prosperity, the same one that Monica just got to. Our plan for prosperity, protecting our people in a COVID-19 environment, strengthening democracy and the rule of law, incentivizing economic growth and job creations, and enhancing welfare. So you remember budget was presented under that theme? 17 months later, as of yesterday, 31st of January 2022, 50,450 confirmed COVID-19 cases with 1,165 deaths. Sir, let's assume that an average of 4 persons per household means that one more than 1,000 families are suffering across this country, and that approximately 4,660 persons are grieving the loss of a loved one. Damlal, if you have a problem with me, Kimar, come and tell me that. Come and tell me that. Let me fix you up. You guys past me. Many of, Mr. Speaker, let me continue. He's distracting me, Mr. Speaker. Sir, 4,660 persons are grieving the loss of a loved one, many of whom are teachers, nurses, police, and soldiers. Mr. Speaker, can you say how many families are single-parent families now as a result of this pandemic? Can we as a nation say that? Do we know that statistic, sir? Sir, after 18 months, have they collected any data on the impact of COVID-19 on the family, the school, the communities? Sir, if they were concerned with data-driven analysis to inform policy decisions, we would not have witnessed $3,000 increase for old age pension and $2,000 for persons in difficult circumstances. Madness, Mr. Speaker. Madness. There is no data-driven policy in this country. Sir, these struggles are beyond the Minister of Finance. He's out of touch with reality. He should start visiting the communities and see what's happening and how our people are suffering. Sir, while our people are suffering daily, the PPP came right in this House 18 months ago to tell the nation that the budget is based on strengthening democracy. The same wannabe finance minister, Honorable Member Ejil, he said that, sir. Well, Mr. Speaker, let me pay some attention to Nigel Dharamlal, the Honorable Member. Mr. Speaker, local government elections is due, in fact, since November 2021. Sir, the Honorable Member Nigel Dharamlal wrote to all the parties involved in elections and said to them, and I quote, "You are hereby informed that due to the Guyana Elections Commission lack of readiness, it is impracticable to hold local government elections in the time frame stipulated by the provisions of the Local Authorities Elections Act." End of quote. Sir, what kind of strengthening of democracy is that? Mr. Speaker, they have installed a CEO at GCOM. Let's get on with the work of this nation. But Mr. Speaker, the nation was made aware yesterday when the Shadow Minister of Local Government, Honorable Ganesh Maipal, spoke. He said there is no money in this budget to hold local government elections. Sir, this is a deliberate act, and I might ask, what are they afraid of, sir? What are they afraid of? Call the local government elections. Let's see what the people on the ground say. Mr. Speaker, my conclusion here is that the Minister of Local Government is playing a cat and mouse game, and that the strengthening of democracy is just a big fallacy in the PPP. Sir, all that we have heard yesterday and today from this side of the House should indicate to this nation that the welfare of our people is in peril. And we ought to take cognizance of the fact that people are punishing. Poor people are punishing. They are unable to have 2 square meals a day. 2 square meals a day under this installed PPP regime. And they don't care, Mr. Speaker. They don't care to find out anything about that. Mr. Speaker, I would like to draw your attention to another aspect of Dr. Singh's 5.5-hour speech. And that is, and I quote, "Inclusive governance is demonstrated by the fact that our programs are accessible to all. For example, the COVID-19 Relief Fund and Support Cash Grant Program," end of quote. Sir, what in the name of Jezebel is he talking about? He said that this program is accessible to all. Mr. Speaker, I have a list in my hand here, 1,367 persons who did not receive the cash grant. Who did not receive the cash grant, sir? People who qualified for the cash grant did not receive it. Mr. Speaker, you seem to be the judge in the House of recent. And so I ask you, do you think the minister within the office of the president with responsibility for finance is being untruthful to the people of this country? Mr. Speaker, when one analyzes the data, you will see that most of the complainants reside in Region 4 and Region 10. In Region 4, Georgetown is affected tremendously, sir. And if that is not discrimination, then it is the one Guyana syndrome members on the other side of the House are talking about. Trying to sell dreams, but we beg and we get said.
Honorable member, I would like to say that in order for you to finish off, you'll need a 5-minute extension.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the honourable member be given 5 minutes to conclude her presentation.
Honorable member, you may continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to wrap up. 5 minutes might not be enough, but there is one point that I really want to make. Sir, in this oil-producing nation, Guyana, where the vision is one Guyana, we are told that there is a $2,000 increase and a $3,000 increase for senior citizens and people with difficult circumstances. Mr. Speaker, I have come to present to you, sir, that the PPP boost of a mere $2,000 increase per month and a $3,000 increase for old age pension. Sir, let me tell you, as German Figuera said, $3,000 really means $100 a day for the pensioners. Madam Gail Teixeira, $100 a day cannot buy a bag of tennis roll for the pensioners. That's what you're giving them. Mr. Speaker, what the people on the other side would not tell this nation is that every sitting minister carries home $1,200,000 and more while they're giving pensioners $100 a day that can't even buy tennis roll for them. Sir, when we were in government, they talk about the increase for the ministers. But sir, all of them are carrying home that plus the 7% increase. And the mere $2,000 and the mere $3,000 for the pensioners are the big highs in this budget, sir. But let me say to you, Mr. Speaker, in this country, we recognize that the government, the PPP-installed government, is all about corruption. So the big boys will get a lot and the ordinary people will get nothing. Sir, you're talking about people in difficult circumstances receiving $14,000 a month. Sir, would they tell this nation that the failing CEO at Gaisuku is receiving $14,000 US and more in a package for running an industry that is failing? Would they tell this nation that? But that's the PPP for you, sir. The big boys get a lot and the ordinary man will remain poor. But sir, let me tell you, sir, this budget is the biggest joke of the year. Biggest joke. And we cannot support this joke, sir. We cannot support this joke. Sir, I recognize that I would not have gotten my time back, but let me wrap up, sir.
You got your time back. You still have 2 minutes to conclude.
Sir, you weren't here when the Deputy Speaker disturbed me, sir.
The Deputy Speaker disturbed you?
Sir,
Could you withdraw that?
in wrapping up,
The chair don't disturb honorable members. The chair keeps order in the house. So please.
whatever that means, sir.
No, whatever that means is that you have to withdraw the statement that the Deputy Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, you could withdraw the statement. That's fine with me.
Honorable members, I'm asking you to withdraw.
Withdrawn. Sir, in wrapping up, let me sum. One, the budget is visionless, as is evidenced by no plan for social cohesion and nation building in Guyana. And the PPP is shamelessly trying to rebrand the APNU AFC strategy for a unified and harmonious Guyana as one Guyana. Sir, Senior Minister within the Office of the President with responsibility for finance is being untruthful to the people of Guyana because he presented a budget on a ghost concept of one Guyana. Sir, with the presence of a ghost strategy and a whole circus on the other side, I would like to posit our recommendations include effective anti-poverty measures that are designed to ensure all Guyanese are guaranteed an income on which they can live decently, particularly the working poor and the elderly, the low-income households, and the hinterland residents. Sir, we are approaching our 2-year mark living through a pandemic, and so we should have a data-driven national development strategy to inform our projected expenditure if we are serious about developing our people and this country. Sir, poverty is at its all-time high in Guyana, and this budget is designed to make our poor people even poorer. And so unless we identify clear strategies to reduce poverty, we are nowhere close to ensuring unity, social security for our people. We need to know what are the measures in place for more than the 15,000 single mothers in this country. How will they survive this year, much less next year? Let us start with the women. Let us start with the women in Anns Grove, Haslington, Belladrum, Rosignol, number 5, Ithaca, Eversham, Angles Avenue. Tell us what is in this budget to train them to become employable, how they live, how will they ever leave an abusive home and become financially independent? Tell us. Mr. Speaker, the practice of trickle-down economics is not impacting the lives of the poor people, and so we have to revisit the drawing board and put measures in place to benefit our most vulnerable people. And until such time, sir, I cannot support any policy that is discriminatory in nature. I thank you